So I want to welcome to the show the bassist for Stereo Satellite, the one and only John Moyer. How's it going today, man?
How are you doing, Evan?
Pretty good. So, you were previously in the band Disturbed and then Adrenaline Mob with Mike Orlando and also Jordan. How did you guys come
Yes.
to work with frontman Lucas Rossi on bringing together Stereo Satellite?
Well, just to clarify, I still am in Disturbed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that hasn't changed. We just finished a huge world tour last year, tons of success. But I tend to keep working even when Disturbed takes breaks. So previously, I had played in Adrenaline Mob with Mike Orlando. I never actually played with Jordan Kanata, even though now I do. So What happened was when Disturbed stopped touring last year, I took a few months off, spent some time with family, and then around September, October, I started feeling the itch to play again. And then, Adrenaline Mob had that horrible accident that happened. And so, obviously they're very good friends of mine. I had reached out to Mike Orlando, and I flew to New York to kind of hang out with him and just see how he was doing. And in the process, he plays me this music he's been working on for about 2 years now. And it's very different than the Adrenaline Mob stuff. And I'm listening to it. I'm really liking it. It's very fresh. It's very rock. And so I say, hey, man, I really like this. And, I got time next year, 2018, to do something else. So we decided to try to push forward with it. So there was no singer involved yet. It was just him and I.
Okay.
And a batch of songs. And I was talking to a friend of mine, Paul Gargano. I don't know if you know who he is. He used to be the editor. He's the editor of Metal Edge magazine. He manages Drowning Pool.
Oh, okay.
Old, very, very long time friend of mine. I sent him the music, and he says to me, he goes, "Do you know who Lucas Rossi is? Because I think I'd be a great singer for this." And I at the time, I wasn't familiar with Lucas. And when he told me, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember him when he was on Rockstar Supernova. Mm-hmm. So me and Mike looked up some videos of him, and we saw his performance. He does this cover of Adele's Hello, which is just mind-blowing. We were just blown away. So Paul made the introduction and reached out to Lucas. Lucas was living in Nashville, or is living in Nashville at the time. We sent him some of the material.
Okay.
He seemed interested, so I flew out to Nashville to have a one-on-one meeting with him. You got to meet people in person and get a real vibe.
Oh, sure.
And after meeting with him, I was just blown away by not only what a beautiful soul he is, and obviously how creative he is and how talented he is, just what a good guy he was. And I could tell that he would be a great guy to be on the road with and to tour with and all that goes with that. And so that was in November, late October, November.
Oh, wow.
Of 2017. And we have been working nonstop since then. So in the process, Mike, Orlando, and Lucas have been writing constantly back and forth, getting everything set up. I myself have been, helping out as much as I can with that, as well as, getting, our business stuff lined up, management, and things of that nature. And then it came time to, finally decide on a drummer for the band. And we all talked about it, and, we were getting advice that, with Lucas, me, and Mike in the band, we should get a famous drummer. And we didn't agree with that. We're like, why? We're not doing this to pack the band with famous people. We're doing this to pack the band with the most talented players we know.
Exactly, yep. Mm-hmm.
And Mike goes, the best drummer I know was the drummer, who was in Adrenaline Mob, Jordan. And, and Jordan has this super cool video of himself doing a drum solo. We sent that video to Lucas. Lucas saw it. Lucas goes, "That's our guy." So we all agreed on it, and that was the final missing piece of the puzzle, and that's how the band came together. And so right now, I'm actually in the van with Jordan right now. That's why I'm talking him up so much.
What's up, Jordan?
And we're actually in New York right now doing rehearsals.
Yeah, I heard.
For Stereo Satellite. Yep, and we for our debut show on Shiprocked. Next week.
Yeah. Yep. So talk about that. I mean, your first ever show, Shiprock Festival, starting January 23rd. Do you think you guys will have any nerves taking the stage with the new band?
I don't know if I'd call it nerves. I think there's a huge amount of excitement involved with it. You know, if you practice enough, it kind of takes care of the nerves.
Yeah, and plus you know, being in the bands you've been in before, you really don't have stage fright or anything like that. So, you know.
Yeah, nothing like that. I don't think we're going to freeze. But it's just like anything. If you train enough, you do it enough, whether it's sports or it's a military or whatever it is you do, any kind of performance-based, you know, action, if you do it enough, even if in the moment you freeze, your training and your practice and your rehearsal takes over. And so, you know, the biggest thing for us is just, I don't know, we're just excited about it. It's just going to be a lot of fun.
And who else are you looking forward to seeing at Shiprocked?
Oh, man, God, there's so many bands.
I know, it's stacked, man.
Yeah, it really is. You know, we got a lot of friends out there, you know, Stone Sour, I think Hailstorm's on it. The Van Dalskin I met recently. Those girls are fantastic. That singer's awesome. Obviously, Black Label Society. Mm-hmm. So, it's going to be a big party. And you know what's good for us is we get to debut this in front of a huge amount of fans. And a huge amount of our friends as well. And then we get to hang out afterward and just enjoy their shows and just be part of the whole, you know, rock and roll camaraderie.
Yeah, party on a cruise. I mean, how can you go wrong?
I know. I hope so. Yeah.
Hopefully, you know, a little relaxation while you're doing that, but who knows? Probably not.
Well, who knows? You know, I'm also participating in the Stowaways, which is the all-star band that's on the cruise too. So I'll be doing a little double duty. So it'll be a little busy for me.
Very cool. Is there going to be any footage that we can view of this afterwards, or what do you think is going to go?
Absolutely. In fact, we are we're going to be doing a full camera shoot of 2 or 3 of the songs that we will be editing and releasing directly after Shiprock.
Very cool. Well, you guys definitely have to get through Chicago if and when you can later this year, if you do so. So.
Oh my God, I can't wait to do that. You know, we got to get this debut show out of the way.
Yeah.
Show people that this is a real band, not a project. You know, build the excitement about it, and then at that point, you know, start seeing, you know, what tours we can get and where we can go to share this with everybody else.
And talk about your video that you guys released a few weeks ago, just after the New Year, Glass Houses. How has the overall response been on that track?
Since really, it's been really cool.
Okay.
You know, even my guitarist for Disturbed, Dan Donegan, he called me and he was like, "Man, I really like that new track." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man." So just all around positive vibe, you know, from fans, but also, you know, from friends of ours. You know, even our associates in the business. You know, Lucas, you know, he hasn't really done anything in a number of years. And I think he's coming back with a vengeance. His voice is killer.
Yeah.
He has, you know, he just got an amazing vibe about him. And so that's a big part of any band is the singer, you know, and I feel like now's the time for Lucas to come back and remind the world who he is and show him what he's got.
And
so
put on a show for the ages. Good. And put on a show for the ages, that's for sure.
We all hope, right? Isn't that the idea?
Exactly. So personally, do you have any pre-show rituals that you do before getting ready?
You know, about an hour before the show, I definitely sit there and warm up. Make sure that, you know, I'm not going on stage cold. I don't want my fingers to cramp up.
Yeah.
Another thing I like to do, I like to just be with the band. You know, like if you know, I just like the 4 of us just to be a band, you know, 30 minutes or an hour before the show where we're just focused on hanging out with each other, you know, talking about the set, the songs, the vibe, what we're going to do, telling jokes. You know, to me that's important because when the band gets on stage, you want to feel that they're a band, not just a bunch of dudes who walked up there who happen to play music together.
Yeah.
I think that makes all the difference. And I'll tell you the truth, that's what Disturbed does every show. Every show we hang out as a band before, and that's an important time for us, you know. So no matter what happens during the day, we reconnect before we get on stage, and I hope to continue that with these guys as well, and I'm sure we will.
Funny little story about my connection with Disturbed. I actually knew the band before you came into the band. I was friends with
Fuzz
and Dan and all those guys before they made it big, and I did their first ever release show at the Metro. So
Oh
it
man,
was.
that's the way back. That's the Wayback Machine
I
you're
have
talking
I have
about.
photos of David Draymond with hair back when he played the Metro, opening up for like Gravel Bone. So it's hilarious, and
Yep.
he actually seen the photos before and kind of cracked up. So,
Yep.
but I
Yep.
don't really
Yeah.
put those out there.
I've been in the band since 2004.
Yeah, I know.
They definitely had success on 2 records before I ever got involved. So, yep.
All right, so to move on a little bit more, I hear from a lot of people that there's no good music out today compared to like 10 or 20 years ago. What would you say to those people who have that type of mentality that won't search for new music? Because that's all I'm about. Brand new stuff coming
I
out.
think there's a ton of great music out.
There's a
It's
ton.
just that there's a ton of it. It's just that there's less outlets to hear it now. So there used to be 170 rock stations in the United States. Now we're down to like 70, 60. I don't know. So because we have less rock stations and they're owned by these corporations, they tend to play it safe and they play the same songs that they've been playing for 10 years, for 15 years, for 20 years. It's hard to take a chance on new music, but that's the issue is we don't have enough outlets for that anymore.
But with Spotify and SoundCloud and YouTube and satellite radio, it seems like you actually have more.
You do,
but you have to pay for it.
It's hard to know what to listen to.
True.
We're not being. There used to be a time when you could turn on the radio and we were all experiencing that shared community of whatever was new and happening. It's really fractured now. It's hard to create. It's hard to get one thing out there that kind of permeates the community.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a guy like you, who's constantly looking for new music. I think there's a ton of great music out there.
It's awesome.
It's just I think it's the way we're being fed it is so fractured that it's hard for people to really latch onto something. And honestly, a lot of times you have to hear music over and over before you get into it.
Yep.
You can't hear a song one time and be like, that's amazing. Some of my favorite songs I've had to hear a few times where I'm like, I finally got it. I remember when I was a kid when Alice in Chains and Soundgarden came out, I didn't quite get it at first, and now they're my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's a big part of it too. Is the way we listen to music now is very fractured. It used to be much more streamlined. You had radio stations that were pushing music to everybody, and there was a shared consciousness. So I think that's a big part of why people feel like there's not a lot of good music out there. But I disagree completely. I think there's a ton of it. Yeah. Here's the other thing too. There's so much music. There's not enough. You have to promote it though to get it out there, to get it in front of people. So where's the money to promote it and get it in front of people? It's not there anymore because the industry itself doesn't sell records. So there's only a few bands that are in a position to get things promoted. Meanwhile, I produce bands all the time that I think are writing great songs, but they always complain I'm having the hardest time getting it out there to everybody.
Yep.
And that's why, because there's no viable way to promote like there used to be.
And the cool thing is I actually work with Tag. I work with Tag Publicity now as a PR rep, so it's kind of cool knowing this side of the business and also the media side too. So.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another complaint too. You have to search for it, but it used to be it was put in front of you. Yeah. You would see it. It was. Here you go. Here's the new single from this guy. Here's the new band coming here. Here's this band, and there was money behind the promotion. Now, not every band hit, but at least they got themselves out there. Now you have great bands who you will never hear of because there's not enough money to get it out in front of anybody.
Nobody makes anything on shows or anything locally, really. So it kind of sucks for them.
Oh man, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, would you even hear about movies or television shows if it wasn't promoted? Of course not. No. Same thing goes for music.
Yep. So I'm going to go a little off base here. Who do you think is going to be in the Super Bowl, and who do you think will win it?
Oh man, I'm a huge Cowboys fan. So,
I'm an Eagles fan.
I'm wallowing in complete destruction. But you know what? I watched that Vikings game. I hand to him, man. That was a hell of a game. What a nail biter. It was just insane. And I was actually rooting for the Saints. So, as far as who I can pick, I know I'm going to be wrong because I'm constantly wrong about these things.
Well, you are a Cowboys fan, so you are wrong.
Well, there you go. Yeah. We come with a certain sense of idiocy, thinking that we're going to do something every season, but we can't help ourselves because We're diehards.
There you go. So who do you think is going to be in it this year? Or who do you think will win?
Vikings are looking good.
Okay.
Can't help it. They look fantastic.
And who do you think is going to win? Do you think it's going to be the Vikings overall?
I do.
There you go. And what should we expect from Stereo Satellite in the foreseeable future? Besides the show.
That's a great question. We're going to get out there. We got a couple more videos we're putting together, more content. We want to show, our show itself is more than just a typical rock show because we've got a lot of video content that actually goes with our show as well. So it's like a whole immersive experience. And for us, the big thing for us is just to get in front of people. As much as I would love to play, to a small packed club, we're not that band yet. Nobody knows who we are. So for us, we need to be out opening up, for bigger acts to get the name out. So I think for the first half of the year and maybe the rest of the year, on, our relationships with other bands and friends to see, what festivals, big shows we can get on to get us in front of the most exposure possible to start with. And that's going to be the goal here for the next couple months.
And besides YouTube, where can we find the new music from Stereo Satellite? Facebook, obviously.
That's it right now. It's all a slow process. It's all, we've got only Glass Houses is the only thing that's been released yet.
Okay.
We have a second single called My Last Words that's going to be coming out on iTunes. That's going to be coupled with the Glass Houses release on iTunes. So Perfect. You buy one, you get the other one free with it. So there will be 2 songs available very soon. Right now, we're in the middle of discussions with, radio promoters as to which song they think is best to go to radio with, which has been very interesting conversations.
Huh.
Yes. So we thought it was going to be one single, and then we had another guy say, no, we got to go with this one. So, we're not sure which one's going to be next yet, but we know that there's going to be a radio campaign to get, to push that single once again to show who we are. To me, Glass Houses is what I call the soft release. We want just to get something out there that embodied who the band was, that showed us, performing, singing, whatever you want to take, whatever you want to call it, right out of the gate, which we did. And now we want to get this show under our belt, and then after that, start our radio campaign and start to really get the word out.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck on January 23rd at Shipped Rock. I really appreciate you taking some time today to talk with me. So
Thanks, Evan.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. All right.